You could tell a man about a distance travel. I'm a seeker of knowledge. I'm a nerd. I always want to learn. And whenever you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you die.
What up, guys? It's your boy Alu.
Yo, it's your boy Ron.
And we're the Amateur Builders. Welcome back to Amateur Builders, guys. Today is going to be the finale of the Mindset series. So the last two episodes, we've just been talking about like cultivating your mindset, how to get into that creativity as an entrepreneur, as a builder. And I think just today is going to be like the last sort of episode that we wanted to dedicate to that because we want to move on to other things that you need as a builder, as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And what else you have to say, Ron?
No, yeah, just as like you were saying, just because mindset is not that much of a, there's a lot to say. Like if you really want to know, I think, and you want to dive deep into it, then so be it. If that's like your business, like you want to do some type of product or idea on psychology, then by all means. But like, it's not, I feel like if we keep talking about it, it's going to be repetitive. So, it's best to like keep it short.
Yeah, definitely agreed. Actually, let's talk about you, Ron, first. You just had a surgery, right? So you sound a little bit stuffy.
Yeah, my fault. It's like
that's
coming off stuffy and shit. Cause I had surgery yesterday and some shit called septoplasty. So it's basically like I had like a deviated septum. So when you have a deviated septum, it's like it's kind of hard to breathe. Like people who snore sometimes have deviated septums because like they're laying on their back, not to bore y'all, but it's like it's really uncomfortable. You laying on your back and like you can't really sleep as much. You'll fall asleep eventually, but it's like it's annoying. Like it's an annoying feeling. It's tightness in the throat and shit. I had to like get surgery for that shit because it was terrifying.
Yeah. So this is like I'm always fascinated about like surgery, right? Because it's like when they put you through like anesthesia, they're like, how do you fall asleep? Like, are you conscious when you fall asleep, or you just like it just happens randomly?
Nah, I remember we was talking about it like privately, but yeah, like honestly, bro, it's like they said, it's like you really like the doctor, the anesthetic came in. He said, "You're not gonna know what happened." Like literally, he said, like, "Yeah, you're not gonna know what." Like there's some people who don't know literally what happened. They think that they woke up and like they're just back where they was. But there's some people who can remember, like, if you have like a strong mind, yeah, you'll remember shit. But you're not gonna remember the operating room. Like, you're not gonna remember them. Like unless that shit was weak and you wake up, that must be horrible. And you see yourself being worked on, I'll probably freak out. But nigga, like, so I went in there. The whole operating room is cold as shit. And I went in the room, and then they put like pads and shit on me. I ain't gonna lie, that shit was mad cozy. I was like, yeah. I was like, I already knew that. I was like, yeah, they gonna knock me out in this bitch. And then they put like I had I don't know what the fuck they call it, but it's like something in your vein, and that's what really knock you out, really, because it's like medicine they put to like basically blank you out, and then they put the gas mask on you. So they put the gas mask on me, and I felt the thing go in like in my vein and shit. And then I was just I was out cold, bro. I swear to you, when they say like you wake up and you don't know what the hell happened, or you just wake up and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like that's how it felt, bro. I could have been 2 hours I was in there. I woke up. How
long was the surgery?
I think it was like an hour, bro. But like that shit felt like 1 minute when they did that shit. Like, swear to God, bro. I just woke up. I looked over to my left, my right, and my mom was there. I was like, well, I just felt something on my nose. That's how I kind of knew like I came out the surgery. So I was like, wait, I just had surgery? And they was like, yeah, the nurse was like, yeah, we just came back and shit. I was like, what? Yeah, this shit is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm one of those people. I have to go through that to actually believe it because I'm just like, I don't know if I could just allow my mind to just fall asleep, bro.
I'm telling you, bro, you gonna fall asleep. I was thinking, I was nervous because I was like, that. I don't know if I want to do surgery and I'm sleeping, but I'm telling you, bro, you could knock out with that.
I mean, hopefully I never have to go through that. But
Yeah,
anyways,
hopefully.
let's get back to topic. So for today's episode, we're just gonna basically pick and choose one person that we identify as someone who has a great mindset, and we're basically just gonna talk about the takeaways that we got from that person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Ron go first.
So my person I chose was 50 Cent because when you look at some of his
50
interviews and
Cent.
shit, yeah, 50 Cent. Um, I just like I don't know, I like something about him. Like he's very like aggressive and like not like in the interviews and shit. He's professional when he needs to be, but I like the fact that he does he did mad shit. Like he came out of the hood and he just was on some business shit. He really was at first his music, but then eventually he turned into a businessman. Like for me, I think most artists I like are people who are business oriented. So Jay
Mhm.
Z, Nas, who else? Like Drake, like niggas that's like really at the echelon. Like they beyond music. That's why I like. That's kind of cool to me. So I just like him because of that. Like I like him because he came in there. He was aggressive. He really said some great things during interviews. He's like, yeah, people are not gonna. Now let me look at the notes real quick. He was just like, focus on yourself, believe in yourself, because it's gonna be times when people take your confidence for arrogance. Like people don't want like you to be confident. They don't want you to be confident about your goal. Like I don't know if you ever seen like the interview with Michael B. Jordan and this girl that used to go to his high school.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
You
That was
seen that?
crazy.
And she was salty as
Yeah.
shit. And then this nigga, I could tell he was like that. He was like he believed in himself always. Because she even said, yo, he used to always walk around with like this his headshot and talking about himself and shit. It's
Wow.
like that's a nigga that's gonna make it. Because and if it's like you just, it's not like you just talking shit. It's like you actually, let's say you're artist, right? You go into the studio every day, working on your craft, building. Like that's the recipe for like improvement. Like you're gonna be successful somewhere in the music industry if you're not an artist, or some type of business you might eventually own. Like that's just cultivating good
Yeah.
habits and behavior. So that really
Yeah.
spoke to me. And what else?
What
One
else
other
did he
thing
say?
he said, like value sees value. So he basically said an analogy, like a story where if he pulls up to a red light and then he look over and he sees some nigga in the hoopty, right? And he's like, and the nigga in the hoopty telling him to roll his window down. You're not gonna roll his window down, like the fuck. But if he pulled up to the red light and he's in his like his Bentley Move Sling, like he got a nice car, whatever,
Mhm.
and the nigga over
Yeah.
here on the right, he got a Ferrari, and he telling him like, "Yo, roll your window down." The nigga gonna roll his window down because he's like, "This nigga got a Bentley, like he gotta be, he's about to tell me something, like." So it's
Yeah.
like you when you see some people like showboating, quote unquote, like it's not necessarily like, let's say I'm getting a Bentley, right, or like a Rolls Royce. People gonna take me more seriously. Is what he's basically saying. Like sometimes those like symbols of
So he's
like
basically saying
luxury.
like perception matters.
Yeah, that's what he said after. He's like perception matters. Like when you portray that confidence, going back to what he said, like it's just like people gonna believe in you. Like it's gonna rub off on people.
Yeah. There's some truth to that. I
Yeah,
definitely think like, especially in the era that we live in, everything is very at face value. People just look at what you have on or what you have, and then based off
yeah,
of that, they judge you off of that. So there's definitely some truth to that. Yeah.
yeah, man, for sure. What about you, bro?
What else did you get from it? What else
Um,
did you get from it?
for
Was
um, for the most part, just I took those two like nuggets away. And then he said some other stuff, but it's like for the most part, I took those two, like focus on yourself, believe in yourself, and then the last one was like value sees value.
okay. Um, I'm a my person. The person that I chose is a little bit I wouldn't say as famous as 50 Cent, but I think it's pretty significant inside of like the black culture, I would say. His name is 19 Keys. Um, some will consider him like a thought leader or the people's champ. But overall, I just see him as somebody who's been able to hack their their mind to be able to achieve anything that they want to achieve. So
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I took away from him is like having a system. Like he's been able to literally be able to understand the human psyche and be able to understand how to take himself and separate himself from everybody else. So understanding how to understand who you are and then
Yeah.
amplify who you are to become the best version of yourself. So those things that I've seen and those things I've studied from him was very essential to who I've become. Like one of the quotes that I took from him was like, "The greatest joy a man can have is taking the production of his thoughts and putting that into reality." So basically, just being able to take something out of your mind and then executing that and actually bringing that into the physical realm, meaning like into production and actually having an idea come into execution. So that was one of the biggest thing I took away from him is like having that mindset, like you know, being able to have an idea, understand what the idea is, and then iterate from just having an idea phase into becoming something of substance, something of substance where it
Yeah.
can actually bring value to others. So those key points was very important, at least when I was like studying people and identifying like-minded people at the time, especially when I didn't really have any sort of knowledge about a lot of things that I know now. He was very essential, and I think a lot of people should actually go and just study him and go back to like so yeah, he has a podcast called High Level Conversations, and I
Yeah.
think rather than just listen to the new things that he has, go back to like the older podcast and just listen to the things that he was talking about. Because back then he was very much, um, you when you were in that beginner phase, you were very much willing to give out a lot more information. I'm not saying that he's not giving out as much information because he still is, but the information that he's giving out is much more directed to a certain set of people. And I think back then he was giving a lot more general information, so you could like pick and choose what you want to learn. And
Yeah.
I just think he was somebody that was very influential to my life, and I think that it's somebody that a lot of people should study. And I think it's a lot of people. If a lot of people took some of the advice that he gives, it's gonna definitely elevate you to a different stage in your life.
And so about like where did he come from? He ever spoke about his origins and like why he uh came up with
So
19
yeah,
keys or learned.
so he grew up in Oakland. He grew up in the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
The 19 keys. I think he said that. Uh, I forgot exactly the reasoning behind why he called himself 19 keys, but there's like a dope meaning behind it though.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because I did heard about him before, like besides
I
like
told you about him.
but I seen his podcast on like the feed and
Hmm.
the name sound cool, but I never went to listen to it. I was just like, shit looks like the thumbnail and
And
shit
it,
look cool.
yeah,
Like
and like even his podcast right now, he brings on a bunch of like very influential people that's not in the mainstream, and even like remember I was telling you about that podcast, that episode I was listening to last time where he was interviewing the Prince of Africa.
yeah,
And that podcast was it was fire. They was dropping some gems in there. So it's like people like that. I think a lot of times you need to identify people who are not necessarily in the mainstream realm because a lot of times when people are in the mainstream realm, they tend to like censor themselves, be able to exist in that space.
yeah,
So he's not necessarily like super mainstream, but at the same time, he has access to people in the mainstream. So he still is able to be himself and still be able to give out a lot of great knowledge to people.
yeah. Because I think he had like a speech at what's those guys again? Leisure. I think he had a speech at their event and shit. I didn't see it though, but
InvestFest, yeah.
Invest Fest, yeah, he spoke there.
Yeah.
He do like private like conversation, like bookings, right, and stuff.
I think he used to do that. I don't know if he had the time. Like he's
Okay.
popping right now. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he's popping off right now. But
Okay. So if you had to like culminate like this mindset series, what are some like things you can give the audience? Is like just take these top fives or something like that, and like I think you could build a great mindset.
I think we talked about it in like episode 1. I think some of the things that I said was creating a system. So regardless of what that system might be, you need to be able to stay consistent and disciplined to adhere to that system. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Second thing for me was, not being afraid to test things out and not being afraid to fail. I think a lot of times a lot of us are afraid to fail. I think you need to be able to accept failure, and failure is gonna happen regardless if you want to or not. If you look at most people who are successful, they failed in life many times over and over, but the
Yeah.
perseverance and the consistency was the reason why they became successful. Um, the third thing that I said was, oh, I think the third thing is like exposure, like being able to expose yourself to different things in life. So don't limit yourself to just having one specific thing that you're comfortable at. Being able to be uncomfortable in a lot of different situations allow you to grow faster. I
Yeah.
think that just being able to, expose yourself to new information allows your brain and your mind to expand a lot more. So definitely being, curious, like having curiosity, like
Yeah.
being being a learner of life. I think that's
Mhm.
very important. Another thing is networking. I think I talked about this on the first episode. Is like the most. I remember we talked to like a VC, and this is like the biggest takeaway that I had from that. And the VC told us that the biggest reason a lot of people are not successful is one, they don't have the information or they don't have the access. So
Yeah.
the access part is very essential to anybody become successful. So I think networking, just being able to go out there, meeting people, not being afraid to, introduce yourself to people. Just you don't know who you might be able to meet. Like the person that you might meet might be a person that you need to know for a place that you want to get to. So like networking is very essential and is very important. Is literally the key to becoming successful at anything that you want to do in life. What's that? That's four. I think I got one more.
You know.
Uh, and I think this was like what Bob said. I think when we was like recording, Bob was like, "This is not even like my own thing, but resilience." He said like resilience, like I think that just like bouncing back is like sometimes you might be at the lowest of lows, but just being resilient, like just being able to like nah, and having that like confidence in yourself, like yeah, I could do this. Just bouncing back.
Mhm.
I think that's very important. That's my 5 things. I'm just
Right.
throw the ball
I
to
like
you.
that. So, my first one is take ownership or extreme ownership. That was by
Hmm.
Jocko Willink. He's like a Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, I believe. And
Yeah,
when he say take ownership, like extreme ownership, that means like everything that happens to you is your fault. Like you can't just be like, oh, I got sick, like I got COVID. Well, it's your fault. Oh, I broke my leg. It's your fault. Like take ownership of everything that happens to
that's
you, like
crazy.
because
But I feel it
just
though.
think
Yeah, it's
about it.
crazy.
Yeah,
But I
think
feel it.
about it for a second. Like you're just taking responsibility. Like it's not like I don't know. Like let's say God came, like Allah came, and like it's out of your hand. You can't really say that's ownership. Like I didn't make that happen, but it's just like he's saying take ownership of what happens to you because that makes your life better. Like it makes you feel in control, not like some type of external factor is like driving your life. Like you can't just go out into the world and just feel like the victim always. Like you got to go out there like 50 Cent, be aggressive.
Yeah,
Like yeah, I own this shit. Like I come in here, I'm gonna run this shit. Like you got to be cocky sometimes, and niggas gonna like want to like hit you and like put you down. But you gotta take ownership of that and be that arrogant person
yeah.
or be that confident person and know what come with that at least. Second is
Hmm.
Second would be, I think, like like you said too. I'll take one of yours because it's literally like I have the same one. It's just like be open to new experiences and like be able to like
Yeah, that's
learn different stuff, like learn different domains. Like doesn't have to be business because those things do help. Like if you learn like I don't know philosophy or art or like some type of biology, it kind of takes away from the things that you truly do want to specialize in. Like so, if you want to be an entrepreneur and build like consumer tech, you don't necessarily have to just learn consumer tech. Like you can learn like biology, you can learn how plants work, and just reading, like being an avid reader,
it's literally
it
funny
helps
you
you.
say that because like there's something called biomimicry, where like a lot
Uh-huh.
of times, a lot of like great things that we built comes from like just observing nature. So like even those kind of like basic concepts, like a lot of times people wouldn't even think about that. Like looking at like how a bird flies and take off, like the airplane literally like imitates that kind of concept. So it's just like you saying, like just being able to expose yourself to different things allow you to like look at things in a very different perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, definitely. That's why it's like my second takeaway, honestly. Um, and my third one, let me see. I haven't written it down, so let me just go off the head though. I think my third one would be like adaptability. It's like being able to adapt to your environment. So if I go into a room of like professionals, right, like businessmen and stuff like that, and you want to impress them more so, but more than likely you should just adapt to like their language, how they speak, and because you'll be able to be malleable. Like you can learn from them, you can learn from their mannerisms, and that shapes you and make you become a better person. It's just like if you go into jail, you gonna have to adapt to that culture, like that environment, because it's a different culture in there. So being able to
Yeah,
adapt and not be scared.
I would agree to a certain extent. I think you should be able to adapt to your environment, but I don't think you should allow your environment to necessarily change who you are. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
You
that's
should
not
be able
changing
to
you.
adapt to it, but at the same time, I mean, if you're saying that you need to like become
Nah, not
like those
change
other
you, but like
people,
no, but not change you. It's just like because you're gonna be changed. Like you have to change. You can't just stay the same person your whole life. You have to learn how to be different, and that doesn't mean who you are to your core is not who you're gonna be when you go into these new environments. It's just that you're gonna bring a new perspective, but you need to like learn how to go in there and have people trust because you can't go in there and start giving orders like, yo, you do this, yo, you do that. Like you got to earn their trust first, and then you could be that person. Like you could bring that kind of creativity that you always had to your core, and like you
yeah,
could be like a change maker in there now because now they trust you. Now you like it's like you going into like I said, jail, bro. Like you can't go in there and be like fucking soft and shit. Like, oh no, I'm gonna be the peacemaker here. No, you're not. So if you're gonna be somebody, bitch. So you gotta be like, gotta be tough and like, it's like you could still be yourself. Like it's gonna still be you there, but it's just like, you know. Uh, four.
yeah,
Let me see. Let me see. I had one for four, but I used it for three. Uh, I think just like actually, I'm gonna say what you said. Like, so be you. Like, you know, be you. Like you're a unique person. So four
yeah,
is like always be you, and it's literally like jumping off of like three. It's just like you bring something special to this world because as when you was created, like you are a unique individual, so you have some type of perspective that nobody else could see, and
yeah. Literally,
yeah,
like
like you
just
have
adding
a
on to what you're saying
worldview.
is like,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. adding on to what you just saying is like you said, everybody has their uniqueness to themselves, and I think if you're able to study who you are and understand yourself even more, then you're able to bring something totally new that's not been found yet. So I think just like you're saying, like explore who you are. Don't try to like. I think a lot of times we become very especially with social media nowadays, like everybody's trying to compete with each other, comparison. I think it's like rather than like try to compare yourself, it's like identify who you are, become who you want to be. You
Right.
know,
And I'm glad you actually said that, guy. 19 keys. It's like, and that's talking about the mindset series. It's just because it helps you to explore who you are first, like because you can't really be able to adapt if you don't know who you are. If you know you're
yeah,
someone that's malleable, adaptable, but nothing's really going to change you to your core, then you can always be open to new experiences. Like, you go into a new culture, you're gonna have to like learn that culture and be a little different. But once you got
it's a
that, once
fact.
you got people
And like,
trust, you know, go ahead.
yeah,
I'll
I
let you
agree.
say.
Especially like going back to like just being like entrepreneur, like the biggest differentiator between those who are gonna succeed and those who are not gonna succeed as successful entrepreneurs and builders is like the mindset. And if you don't have a
Yeah,
great mindset in this, then it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter if you have the greatest ideas, you have the greatest product you want to build. If you don't have the mindset to actually execute it, doesn't matter, to be honest. And
right.
I think that's pretty much it for today's podcast. Like wrapping it
Yeah,
up. It's the mindset series is pretty much done, and I think this could be like a great little foundational sort of like 3-part episode that you come and listen back to just get you ready for like to just get ready on that journey. And I think this is the
yeah,
things that we learn on our own personal journeys, and I think we wanted to just share that with you guys. And next week we're gonna start talking about something different, but I don't got anything else. I don't know if you want to add anything else, but I think that's pretty much it on my
yeah,
side.
yeah. That's it.
All right, guys. Nigga, I'm gonna let
All
Ron go because his nose is a little stuffy. So
right. Yeah,
I'm gonna see you guys
done
next
talking.
week.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.